In this episode, we're going to be talking about creating a vehicle that really just blows the doors open in your life, that gives you the opportunities, the abundance, and the exciting adventure that awaits you by simply just creating a vehicle that gets you to where you need to go. And this vehicle is successful. It will provide for you over and over again. In fact, I'm going to share a story with you on how I met Arnold Schwarzenegger and got the opportunity to work with him and the companies around him. And I'm going to explain exactly how you can create the vehicle for you. This is the Podcast in the Rough. Tune in every Friday for new adventurous episodes. Welcome back to the Podcast on the Rough. This is episode 114. I'm your host, Zebulon Thomas, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I don't want to share with you all the how to create your podcast things. I want to give you something that is actually a little bit deeper, that is the foundation of how I became successful, and I'm sure if you apply this right away, it's going to help you. And also, it's going to solve a lot of those bottled up emotions of how you get frustrated and when things aren't going our way or they're not working out or they're not on our path, or how do we get aligned with what we want? It's all of the law of attraction, if you will, to bring everything that you want into your life. But you have to do something to be able to make all of that work. Whatever your belief system is, whatever your strategies are, you have to create this one thing that allows you to have that opportunity as you move forward. And this is what it is. It's simply creating a vehicle. I've talked about it before in episodes in season 1. And actually, I talk about this several times to entrepreneurs when they're trying to hit their next level goal, right? When they're like, hey, how do we get to that? I'm like, well, what is the current vehicle you're in? Right? And they're like, what do you mean? What is this vehicle you're talking about? I'm like, what vehicle are you in that you've created that is actually going to be able to go over the terrain, if you will, or on the right tracks that will drive you past or alongside or right to the destination or the goal or the objective that you're trying to accomplish in your life? Where are we going, right? And what is it what's this vehicle going to create? What kind of journey, what kind of opportunities and adventure is it going to create for us when we do that? So the vehicle is going to look different for everybody, but I'll share with you what my vehicle looked like and how I got the opportunities that I've had in my life and been able to be successful because of it. So my vehicle started in 2012. I put this vehicle together. I said, what is my vehicle going to be? And that was simply creating a YouTube channel and starting a company called ZT Films. Well, it was Zebulon Thomas Films, and since then I've shortened it to #ZT Films. And so I created this vehicle, and this vehicle was simply like, I'm going to get a camera, and I'm going to create video content, and I'm going to put it on YouTube, and from there, that's going to give me opportunities. And I'm going to keep following this path. I'm going to get in my vehicle. I'm going to head out in the world with everything that's in it, which would be my camera, my microphones, my ideas, and myself, right? And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say, hey, I can do this cool stuff. You want to do this? Or I envisioned that I'd be cruising along somewhere and see a bunch of people doing cool things, like maybe they're cliff jumping or they're rope swinging or they're kayaking or they're doing something exciting. And I'm like, hey, I want to film that. Pull over, jump out of my vehicle, go, hey, this is what I have. This is what I can do. Let's do something cool. Boom, move forward. And then as I'm going along, I would see a company. I'm like, man, that would really be cool if I can create a commercial for that company. So I pull up and I go, hey, I showed up. I'm on my journey here. I'm traveling through and I want to create a cool commercial with all the stuff inside my vehicle, if you will. And we're going to do something exciting. And they say, absolutely. And we start doing that. Now, at the very beginning, let me just be upfront with you on this, is to get this also to work. At the very beginning, when you're starting out, I was tired of getting these no's. And what I mean by that is I'm like, hey, I want to do a commercial for your business. And they're like, no, I don't have the money. We don't have a marketing budget for that. Or no, we're not interested because we don't need marketing. I don't know, all the excuses. Instead, I had to change my approach. I'm still in my vehicle though. So in your vehicle, you're going to be writing down ideas to get around obstacles. There's a boulder in the road, you're just going to drive into it. How do you get around it? So you write these ideas, you think about these strategies, and you and your vehicle navigate around that, but you're still moving forward. And so I'd go to these businesses and say, hey, you know what? I want to do this cool video. I think it's going to be great. Don't even worry about paying for it. Let's just collaborate. Can you contribute to this? And that is, maybe open the facility a little bit sooner or keep it open later. Or can you, bring food to the table and have a bunch of people come in? Or can I invite people? Can you let them all in for free? And let me just create something and then I'll present it to you. And then we would create these videos that were next level. They were exciting. And I said, well, let me try something else. Let me put this on my YouTube channel because I'm currently growing my subscribers and I'm getting views for people. So I want to give you exposure in this local area too. And you can actually use some of the content on your social media. Now, this is very early back in the day before we had social media the way it is now, before it's just this beast right now. So, along the ways, there's a lot of changes and pivots and things you got to do to adjust with the times. But when this started off this way, I didn't get the no's anymore. I got people going, yes, absolutely. And because of that, because of this vehicle, the vehicle being ZT Films and filming and creating videos, that's what I was working towards becoming really, really good at. And I could only be good at something if I practiced it over and over again. So every single day I'd get in my vehicle and head out into the world. And my goal would be to find things that I can film and create things for other people and then feature them on my YouTube channel and see what people thought of it. The world loved it. In fact, people shared my videos so much that I started to have brands and businesses and entrepreneurs call me. And then I turned that into brand deals, and that would turn into money, and it grew into a business. And now I had to figure that out, but I'm still in this vehicle. I never left the vehicle. So over the years, I started to learn I need to modify my vehicle. I need to improve this vehicle because now I'm doing, I started off with just, filming videos of people doing cool, crazy stunts and doing that for YouTube. And then I got into commercials for businesses, and then I got into brand deals. And so I started doing brand deals. So my vehicle started to get more gasoline in, if you will, better petrol, if you will. I started to get some upgrades to my vehicle. And then I had to modify the vehicle because I realized I wasn't reaching certain areas. So that was like, hey, I got to put big mud tires on it, if you will, so I can go through this rough terrain and head over here to some of these more interesting, bigger companies that, you really can't get to without driving over rough terrain, if you will. You really can't get to without going through the brush, if you will. So I created this vehicle and I started putting new tires on this thing, and I started driving over around different areas and terrains and getting opportunities to work with bigger, better companies or companies that I would never have an idea that I could even get to. I'm like, how would I even think about getting to that company? But because I created this vehicle, I now have something that gives me the excuse, if you will, or gives me the opportunity or opens that door. It's the key that allows me to communicate and start building a relationship with another company or person or whatever that is. So let me explain to you why this is so important in this vehicle, because podcasting is a vehicle in itself, just like my films. That's why I'm teaching people and encouraging other entrepreneurs and anyone who's got a local business or who's starting out or has a hobby. This is where the podcasting comes in, because there's been several people that, I was like, well, how would I even talk to this person? Because my film vehicle doesn't align with this person or their business, but I do want to talk to them and get around them and be in proximity of them, maybe learn something from them or see if I can add value without actually selling to them. And so that's where podcasting was exciting for me, because I would be able to call up anybody, whether it's a CEO, entrepreneur, a celebrity, another podcast host, a radio host, a sports athlete, or just a random person from across the world who's doing cool stuff that I saw on social media. I would send an email or DM them on social media and say, hey, I really like your content. I like what you're doing, or I like these things about you, or what you're talking about, or what you represent. And I would love to have you as a guest on my podcast. Can we do this through Zoom or something like that? Or can I come out, or wherever we're at in the world? Let's meet up and do an interview. Let me interview you so you can share your story. Let me pick your brain on this podcast so I can learn something, and so can my viewers. And so that's where the podcasting became a vehicle for me, and it could become a vehicle for you as well, because that gives you that excuse to reach out. And it also gives you the opportunity to go outside your comfort zone, because now you're like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Ugh, that's kind of weird. It's like, that's out of my comfort zone. Just reach out. Hey, how you doing? I have a question for you. No, now you have a full-on force, a full-on vehicle to move forward and say, hey, I love what you do. This is who I am. This is my podcast. Now you're pushing everything on this podcast. And when they hear that, they go, I would love to be think about it. Wouldn't you love to be a guest on someone's podcast? That is exciting. So let me tell you about my awesome opportunity and how my vehicle allowed me to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and then work with him and his team to do amazing things. And this is by far, to me, it wasn't even something that I planned. A lot of times you get in your vehicle and you go, we're going to drive to the store. And so you know you're going there. And it doesn't matter how you get there. There's several roads to get to the store. You just know you're going to get there. Now, the question is, are you going to take this baby off road if the road's blocked and they say you can't get there? Are you going to be willing to do that? You have to be willing to do that. So you got to be equipped and ready to drive your car somewhat recklessly or take the risks, right? And drive on the edge to get around the mountain just to get to the store. You got to take those risks. And it doesn't mean you're going to get there, and not have any, oops or accidents or dangers or cautions or slow you down or setbacks, or your car might run out of gas, right? Or you might break down, right? These are things that are going to happen as you move forward towards where you're trying to go with this vehicle. And sometimes you don't know where you're going. You ever get in the car and actually just drive because you just needed to drive somewhere and you didn't have a destination, just driving? But man, it was such a delightful drive. And then when you got back, you were less stressed out or whatever the case may be, or enlightened. Sometimes you don't need to know where you're driving. You just say, hey, you know what? We want to enjoy whatever this is. We want to enjoy the summer months. So we're going to drive from East Coast to West Coast, and we're going to start and move our way there as the season changes. So we're always in the warm weather. So you don't have a destination. You just know that you're moving that direction to enjoy whatever's around you. So think about that. You might want to just enjoy interviewing people. So that's your podcast, or that's the something vehicle that you've created that allows you to do that, to enjoy company of great people, or to educate yourself, or to learn more, or to spread awareness, or to grow your business. So how I met Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't planned. What was planned was gaining exposure to people in a way that I couldn't with my videos, because I created the ZT Films vehicle, if you will, and I would film professional videos. But what about all of the opportunities and moments that didn't require my big camera and a professional video? Like, when I think of a video, I'm like, I have a beginning that I've created and an end, and whatever happens in between is kind of natural, organic, capturing an event or something and then piecing it together. But what if I don't have a full game plan of what the beginning and end of a piece of content would turn out to in short film, if you will? And so I was like, well, what kind of vehicle can I create? And this was years ago, that will give me the opportunity to always have a camera on, but not have to be professional. And that for me was vlogging. So I got into vlogging right around the same time I created my ZT Films company. I started a second YouTube channel, and I just did daily vlogs. And what was exciting about this vehicle was I was able to capture everything that went on before, during, and after me driving to my destination in the ZT Films vehicle and creating professional content for these brands and businesses and companies. But it gave you the opportunity to see the excitement that went into those videos. It actually gave you the opportunity to show you what the journey looked like that I was on, right? It's one thing to have a bunch of success and then tell the stories of how it happened, but it's another thing to actually be able to tell people, this is what I'm going to be doing, and you can come along with me and experience it in real time with me. And that's also what podcasting is about. If you open up your podcast to share the journey and the story from start to success, right? And that's what I talk about even in my Facebook group, which I'm going to plug it right now. Get inside the Podcast Community Mastermind on Facebook. It's absolutely free, because this group is sharing with you my journey, and I teach you how to share that journey. If you go back and listen to all my podcast episodes, how I started out, if you're just starting off with a cell phone microphone, yada, 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 and you're moving up, and now we got a mixer, we got a better mic, we got soundproofing, that is the journey. On top of that journey, that might be you sharing just a small little piece of your setup. And then you go into, we're interviewing so-and-so today. So these little segments and these little pieces of sharing the journey allows people to get more involved. So if you want to be a part of that group, the podcastintherough.com/learn. It's on the screen. It's in the link below this episode. If you're listening to it, go get inside the group. It's free. But listen, this story about Arnold Schwarzenegger, I started a vlog channel. And I was so excited to do that. And I'm going around and I'm vlogging. And my friends, they had to get used to it, because everywhere I went, there's Zebulon with the camera. He's vlogging everything. And you know what's interesting when you have a vlog and you're doing something daily like that? Is every day you get up looking for the adventure. You don't wait for the adventure to find you. You don't have to fall into it. You don't hit a pothole and go, oh, we're on an adventure. I got a blown tire now. I got to figure this out. You know what's exciting? When you do a thing like a vlog, or when you do something like podcasting and you do it daily, and you get to talk about your challenges, if you will, you get up and you go, today is going to be about this. And then you might have those challenges that happen. But you know what? It changes your response to those challenges because now you're expressing your emotions in those moments and you're aware of your emotions. So maybe you don't fly off the deep end. Maybe you go, you know what? I'm gonna learn to be more reserved on how I feel. I'm gonna learn to look at, and this, I love this because Shay Carl taught me this a long time ago. If you know about Shaytards, they're amazing. Shay Carl taught me this a long time ago. And it was about when you're vlogging, you start to, he's got a great look at life anyways, but you look at your challenges in life and you go, how can I make this fun? Right? We're going to be filming this. So let's not get all beat up over it. Like, oh my gosh, we dropped our food on the floor. Oh, get the camera. Let's film this. Look what we did. And you make a joke out of it. Or, oh my gosh, the car broke down. Oh, how are we going to, well, guess what? I'm going to take you on this 6-hour walk because I got to get somewhere to get it fixed. Right? And what an adventure that is. When you have that opportunity to turn your life around just because you're creating a new vehicle, that's what I'm talking about. That's the excitement about this vehicle. So I encourage you to create this vehicle. So the vehicle I created was with vlogs. And my friend tells me, hey, I'm going to this thing called the Arnold Classic, the Arnold Sports Festival. And this was years ago. He's like, I'm going to compete in that. And he had a goal in mind. He wanted to get some medals and break some records. I'm like, all right, let's go. He's like, bring your vlog cam. So imagine if I never had the vlog cam. Maybe he would have said, hey, bring your camera and film this. But again, we don't know what that looked like. Right? I could document a story, but I didn't know what kind of restrictions I might have with a big camera type of thing. Vlog camera, just put it in my pocket and I could walk in and pull it out. And it's just like a normal camera. So here he is. He doesn't get into like social media and doesn't get into like filming or anything like that, but he wanted me to document this. And we grew up together. So we're old friends. And he was like, there'd be a fun adventure again, right? Like when we were 14 running through the woods, right? It's going to be like that. I'm like, awesome, let's go. So we jump in the car and guess what? The first day he picks me up, guess what it is outside? Because this happens in March and I'm in Ohio. We got a snowstorm, blizzard, and he's got a sports car. I'm like, I don't know if the sports car is going to be a good thing to do it. Like to drive down there with the sports car, and this thing has just got some, this just lights up the road, right? So here we are. I'm vlogging, and you can watch all this. I will include the link to watch this whole thing unfold, right? So you can actually go back and watch the vlogs. It's really funny to watch all these old videos happen. So we start our adventure and I'm vlogging this snowstorm and it's, we're just biting our nails, right? Getting down there because it's just crazy snowstorm. And so we get down there. What's interesting about this is, I don't know anything about this event. I just keep hearing him say, hey, we might get to meet Arnold. And I'm like, really? We might meet Arnold Schwarzenegger? This is cool. Let's do it. Okay, sure. So we had to do this marathon and Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to come out and he's going to talk to everybody and announce the start of this race. He's going to get you started. He's going to be like, let's go, right? So my friend goes outside to line up for the race, and I'm standing on the one side of the street where all of us are watching our families and friends compete in this marathon. So the funny thing is, everywhere I went back when I would do video and do vlogging, I would make a press pass because I wanted people, I didn't have shirts at the time. I didn't have a ZT Films hat at the time. So I had this press pass lanyard that I'd wear and it would have my information on, people can scan it. So I'm standing on this side with all these spectators on the side of the street and the snow's coming down hard. And one of the police officers sees me and he's stopping traffic and making sure the road's blocked off for everybody. He's kind of like the officer assigned to the event. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, you're press. He sees my press pass. And I said, oh yeah. He goes, you need to be on this side of the street with all the news people. So guess what? He walks me across the street and now I'm with all the news people. And all of a sudden here comes Arnold Schwarzenegger with all his bodyguards at the time. I think he might've been the governor of California. And he comes across the street and walks right up to me and stands next to me and starts to introduce everybody and says how everything's going to be great today. And he starts doing his, hasta la vista, baby, and I'll be back and get to the choppa, right? And he starts telling all this to everyone. He says, now let's go. And he starts introducing the race. And when he's done with that, he turns to everybody and starts shaking our hands. And we get some time with him to talk as he's, meeting everybody on the side, all the press people. And then he starts to make his way into the crowd to meet more people. So I had the firsthand experience to meet him. And I started talking to the people around him that was with him, the people with the clipboards and iPhones and iPads. And I was like, well, how would I get more involved in next year's event? And then we had a small conversation. I built some leads from that. We went back, drove back from the crazy snowstorm, and we had this great vlog documentary that I put together that also advertised my other vehicle, my ZT Films vehicle. And so then I used both of those and I put them together and I showed the video I made that showcases the vlogs. I made a little highlight reel from ZT Films, if you will, from the vlog. And I sent this over to Arnold's team. And I sent it to all the people that I talked to at the event and at the sports festival that host the whole thing. And over a little bit of time, I built a relationship with a lot of incredible people that then allowed me to come and be able to film this event, even as a volunteer for a while, and then do more professional stuff on the side for all these different athletes and brands and companies that Arnold Schwarzenegger is involved in. And it's been a delightful opportunity and rewarding one at that, not just for my accolades in my career, but because of the journey and the experience that I get to go on. And I share that with you because you can touch any and everything that you want with the right vehicle. You can accomplish any and everything that you want to accomplish in your life, whether it's personal or professional. You can accomplish it if you have the right vehicle. And so I encourage you to start thinking over the weekend now, what does the vehicle look like for you to get to where you want to go? And this is where it eliminates that frustration. You're like, I just want more in my life, or I just want my business to do this. Well, you're not asking the right question. The question is, what kind of vehicle do I need to create to get me to where I need to go? And it doesn't mean this is your forever vehicle. Sometimes I've created many vehicles that I've created just to get left or right of me and then to jump back into my other vehicle, right? Sometimes you got to jump in and create something different that gets you to where you need to go. And then from there, you create a better something, a better vehicle, or you mod it and create that life that you want, those experiences that you want in your business, in your life. And so what does that vehicle look like for you? Please ask yourself that question and then start to obsess over the answer and on the ideas and possibilities, like what is that? And what does that mean? Is it podcasting? So if you need help with creating a vehicle, let me give it to you. Maybe we're not all able to pick up a camera and we're camera shy and we're not going to vlog. We're not going to have a big professional camera and shoot movies. Maybe that's not you. But you know what? The one thing that every one of us can do, that's podcasting. And you could do it without spending any money. You can do it with spending some money. You could do it with spending a lot of money. And it's very easy to do. And all you have to do is sit down and start to create whatever it is you want to talk about that then turns into your vehicle, that opens the doors, that gives you opportunity. It's endless. And let me just tell you something. If you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, there's no way I could do podcasts, my 9-year-old has a podcast. I'm not going to plug it on this episode. I'm going to say that for a later date. I'm super proud of her. She has a podcast. What 9-year-old do you know has a podcast? Maybe you do. That's exciting. I don't personally know any 9-year-olds with podcasts, but she came to me and says, hey, Dad, you got all this great equipment and I love hearing your podcast. I love watching you create podcasts. I got an idea. I want to do one. I said, why not? So I said, listen, I'm really busy and I would love to get involved in your podcast, but this is a full time for me too. Are you able to do it if I show you a few things? She goes, I want to do it all 100%. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be 100% like you doing the podcast by myself. I can do this. I was like, okay. She show me a few things. I show her a few things. Now, yes, she has the advantage of all this expensive equipment, right, at her fingertips, but why not? So she sits down and she does her podcast. I gave her some pointers on what I'm thinking that she could do, but I don't want to shape her into me, just like I don't want to shape you guys to do podcasts like me. I want you to discover how you would podcast, how you would create content. I just said, this is some things I would do. Don't get too close to the mic. Don't get too far away from the mic type of thing. Don't be wiggling around. Don't be bumping stuff. Things like that. Things that would basically interrupt the podcast quality, So I teach her a little bit of this. I coach her a little bit of this. And she starts riffing her podcast and she's finished in like an hour. And then she goes, okay, I got to get this on wherever it's got to go. Well, guess what? I know how to help you with that. So I show her where it's got to go and I show her how to upload this. But before we got to the upload stage, I showed her how to edit her podcast. I said, the most time-consuming thing is going to be editing. But you know what? It doesn't have to be. How much editing are you going to do? How much are you going to be able to deliver on your podcast in one take without having edits? So you just trim the front and back off and you're good to go. But if you mess up or you stumble or you got to reset, you're going to be like me and you're going to be editing for hours because that's what I do, right? And then how obsessed are you going to be over the quality? Maybe you don't want the quality to sound super professional, so you're just like, hey, it's going to be raw, I'm going to put it up. And I do love raw sounding audio that's not been tweaked and it's just someone just giving great content out there and it's not edited. That sounds amazing. I do love that. That's the really good stuff, right? That's the stuff you get when you're out with a bunch of great entrepreneurs or people and they go, you want to have a dinner? Absolutely. It's not about the food. It's about the conversations we're going to have at the table. It's going to be rough. It's going to be raw. It's going to be stuff that no one else got to listen to. Right. And that's what a podcast is. So, you hear my podcast, I'm obsessed with the sound quality and putting on a great, show for you, an episode. And so it's polished. It's really polished. Right. But that's why I have another outlet that you can get involved and get access to my power talks where they're raw and I'm talking the park and they're not edited, they're not polished, they're just raw because I love that part and a lot of people do, and you might too. And I'm gonna share with you in a little bit how to get involved in that. But so she has this podcast and I showed her how to edit, and she edited this podcast and she spent some time on it. She spent about 6 hours on it. But guess what? The second episode she didn't spend 6 hours. And her podcast wasn't 45 minutes. She found her little time. She found the one that works. She said, I need to do 20 minutes. So she has a 20-minute episode. And guess what? She did the editing in like 5 minutes. And she posted it up all by herself. So if my 9-year-old can do it, you can do it, right? You just got to be inspired. You got to be excited. You got to go for it. And you also got to create opportunity for people to get involved. And that's why I want to share with you right now how you can get involved in my podcast by showing your support in several ways. The number one way, obviously, is listening to it, commenting under any one of the episodes of the videos, and let me know how I'm doing or talk about the episode. Share with me something. Liking and sharing it. The second best way to support my podcast, honestly, is I love reviews and star ratings. Go to your favorite platform, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast platform that you're listening to this. Please leave a rating or review under that episode or for the podcast in itself. Or you can just go to the website, thepodcastintherough.com, and scroll to the bottom. You'll see an opportunity. You can leave a review and a rating right there on the website. So I appreciate that. But if you want to dive deeper and you want to contribute and you want to help fund episodes and get a shout out in the episodes, this is a great opportunity to do that. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/in-the-rough. That's buymeacoffee.com/in-the-rough. And simply just contribute by buying me a coffee or select any one of the membership tiers. And you'll also get access to a lot of the exclusive content that I'm sharing that's not being shared anywhere else but on buymeacoffee.com. If I can do this, and my 9-year-old can do it, so can you. And creating the opportunities for people to fund you or to support you in any way, shape, or form, you just have to show them and you have to set it up and let people know it exists. Like right now, I always ask, please like this episode, share this episode, leave a comment, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. Do it right now. Or hit the subscribe button and follow this podcast when it comes out. Every Friday I put out a new podcast. I have a schedule now. It's exciting. This is season 3. I've really dug in and found out what really lights me up and I'm excited about. And that's why I wanted to give you this episode that was just rough, raw, and explain to you how I became successful and how I continue to thrive by creating a vehicle that gets me to where I want to go. And I want to inspire you to do that, to create that vehicle and start with podcasts. It's super easy. It's super easy to do this. So listen, I talked about how I met Arnold Schwarzenegger and built this incredible opportunity to work with him and have a relationship with the team and a lot of other folks that are involved behind the scenes. So many great people behind the scenes. And every year now I make it a point to go and film the Arnold Classic, the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio. Every year I make a point to go and enjoy this in some way and work out something new, right? Create something new. And this past year, I created something really amazing by, I went there and I said, I just want to be inspired. I said, let me just capture the event. Yeah, you got all these other people that are filming this. There's professionals that are hired to film all the athletes. I'm the guy that floats around this event now that captures the organic, emotional, raw energy of the event. And it seems to be the one that a lot of people just love. Right? I get so many compliments. And what's so exciting is this vehicle feeds me in so many ways. And one of the biggest ways is I get to meet new people. I love meeting new people because I go there and I have this camera and I have this mission. I'm going to create something natural. And so last year's I created this awesome video that was just about meeting new friends and we all vibed. What was nice is there were so many stories that people were, working really hard. And as it would be because I created this vehicle that really puts me out there to do crazy, exciting things and go beyond my comfort zone, that I literally reached out and started talking to random people while I was there. And I met I made so many new friends. I met some really talented athletes and individuals, people that really worked hard and came from all over the world to be there. And I got to meet them because of this vehicle I created years ago. And I continue to fuel that vehicle and do that. And I want you to get involved in this upcoming 2024 Arnold Classic, the Arnold Sports Fest in Columbus, Ohio. And how can you get involved with me? I wanted to open the door up to help you be part of this vehicle with me. And so I do have a Buy Me a Coffee ZT Films page, and there's several projects I have on there that I'm opening it up for allow people to be able to fund my projects, get involved, get some credit in these projects that I'm doing, because I'm doing really cool stuff on the side, not just my business professional stuff. Like I have my own passion projects that I want to do. And so there's a list of them there. But the number one thing that I wanted to point out, and I'm going to put a link below this video and on this podcast episode, so be sure to check it. It's the Arnold Classic Project, and you can get involved. So if you want to support the production of another exciting short film at the Arnold Classic, featuring athletes, spectators, brands, and exciting moments, you can get involved by simply just going to buymeacoffee.com/ZT Films. I'll leave a link below and on this video. And right now I'm looking for the support because next year in 2024, I want to turn this up a bunch and I want to get more people involved. And together we're going to create something really cool. Go to buymeacoffee.com/ZT Films and look for the Arnold Classic Project in one of the tiers or on that page. Or just click the link below that says support the Arnold Classic Project. And get involved. I would love for you to be a part of this because I'm creating cool things and I want to expand that experience to you. And I deeply appreciate any support that you are able to offer to this podcast and to my productions because it just shows your support. I hope I didn't overwhelm you, but I hope I got you to think what you're going to get into this weekend is thinking about what your vehicle looks like. And I share with you all these links and opportunities to get involved in my podcast and stories so that it'll give you ideas of how to structure that. So if you need structure and you want to learn that, take a look at these opportunities. Go to thepodcastontherough.com. Take a look at my website. That could be a podcast for you. It could be a website for your business or for your vehicle, right? And then what does that look like? That's just information-based. For me, it's a nice website where all the podcast episodes sit, and it's very easy to find them and share them in whatever outlet platform you're going to be listening to that on or watching it, and you can select it from there. So it's like a central hub. From there, how can people get involved? Well, that's where I found incredible opportunities like buymeacoffee.com. And there's several other funding sites that you can create to help fund the projects you want or just get the support. And then take a look at my Facebook groups. I love Facebook groups. I have these great Facebook groups that I'm involved in, and it just gives me some focal point throughout the day to feed my creativity to my community. And you have to build a community and then take everybody in this community on this adventure inside your vehicle, right? So create your vehicle, go out there, crush it, and then please consider supporting this podcast or the Arnold Classic Project for 2024. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be great, and there's a lot of perks to that. And I'm going to take you along. And this year, coming up, 2024, I plan on not just doing the video, but how can I involve the podcast in this, right? Now that thinking ahead, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I got to bring to get that accomplished. You know, I'm really good at video. That's what I know I ought to do. I might fumble a little bit with the podcasting, but you never know. That might open a new door, and I might consider doing it. I might even get a booth there or something to set up a live podcast. Who knows? But either way, it's going to be shared on this podcast, and we're going to create something cool. So thank you again. Listen, it is Fun Friday. That's what I call it. It is Friday, and I really enjoy this podcast episode, creating it, riffing it to you. It's something different. It's not so much structured about the technical side of podcasting. It's really something that's a fundamental, and that's creating a vehicle, and that vehicle can be applied to any area of your life. It doesn't have to just be with podcasting. But what I'm excited about is the fact that this concept that I've created years ago to build success in my life was creating a vehicle, right? I had to get to somewhere. That even goes further back to when I was really young, right? And I was only like 16, 17. I wanted to just start to create some kind of a better life for myself. And so I had to create a vehicle. For me, that vehicle was music at the time. I was able to create music and meet cool people creating music and travel with the music and get some life experiences under my belt through music. So I created a vehicle then. And then that vehicle evolved into creating business mindset and doing things like that. So again, it doesn't matter how old or young you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life, whether it's business, professional, whether you're fit or not fit. You know, maybe it's a weight goal. Maybe it's a health goal. Maybe it's a mindset goal. Maybe it's a strength goal. Right? Maybe it is a money goal. Maybe it's a add more stuff to your life goal. Maybe it's a friend goal. Whatever that is, there's a vehicle you can create for that. If I want to make new friends, if I want to make a bunch of new friends, then I got to create a vehicle for that. But then, you better label what that's going to be. It's not just that you can meet new people, make friends, but what kind of quality friends do you want? Well, now we're talking. This vehicle needs to look and be able to do certain things to be able to get those quality opportunities in my life. So think about that. It's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Get into something. Please like, share, and comment on this video or this podcast and let me know how I'm doing and let me know what your vehicle is going to be. I want to hear that. Tell me what your vehicle is or what it's going to be. What are you going to create? Let's have a conversation about it. Two heads are better than one. Let's put it together. Let's create your vehicle for you. Or there is an opportunity. You can leave me a voice message on this podcast and send me a voice message and I'll feature it in the episode next time and we'll talk about it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Podcast in the Rough episode 114. Thank you so much. Tune in next week for another episode of the Podcast in the Rough. Until then, take care. This is the Podcast in the Rough.